Welcome on in, everybody. The year 2023 has been a very, very busy year for us JoyToy X Warhammer 40K action figure collectors. And in this final review video of 2023, we are going to be taking a look at a very OG unit, specifically the Vanguard Veterans. So let's see what JoyToy has in store for us.
All right, one thing I wanted to point out, which is interesting, is that JoyToy has actually put, well, a JoyToy logo on their shrink wrapping. And I think they are doing this for maybe security purposes, or you only see that in TCGs, where collectible card games, where they want to ensure that the inside is actually authentic. So I don't know, is JoyToy experiencing some kind of counterfeit stuff? I have no idea. But you know what? Let's open up this bad boy. Let's just see what is inside. And what does it reveal? Ooh, it comes with the jump pack already on. Let's go. And apparently you have this apparatus over here, which allows you to boost this guy up in terms of height. All right, let's start off the review with the Beaky over here. And the Beaky actually does have a ton of detail, as I am doing a cursory glance up here. In terms of the helmet wise, you got this nice laurel over here that is a deep green, and then the deep green is also highlighted with a lighter green, which gives a lot of dimension to it. I'll have to say that the white on here is the weathered white that we are used to seeing, especially in this area. And then you have the gold skull, as well as the nicely metallic painted lenses. Although I would have to admit that this part is a little bit lacking in shading, which I think these vents really need. So we're going to look at the pauldron, specifically the crux terminatus. And I would have to say that there is also a ton of depth here. You can see shading in the deeper recesses here, as well as in the eyes and the nose. And it's also been kind of like highlighted with a lighter gray up top too. So there is a lot of dimension on this particular pauldron. And as we flip over to the other side, you have your characteristic Ultramarines U and another laurel that's right here. However, I will have to say this laurel is kind of lacking in any kind of dimension, because there usually is some sort of shading, especially in between the leaflets over here. Progressing on to the middle of this action figure, you see the harness over here. Within this harness, you get a very interesting looking double Aquila, and then you have some ribbons over here that are behind the harness. So progressing further on down, we have a completely unadorned belt area, except that it has a golden skull right here, and there is really nothing on the back of it. And then moving on down, let's take a look at the Space Marine's legs. So on this Space Marine's legs, there is a ribbon that actually goes completely around the leg, and the ribbon is actually very, very heavily shaded, especially within the recesses of it. And then you have more golden skulls right here, as well as some golden studs at the bottom of the kneecaps. So I'd have to say overall, on the armor region of this action figure, the shading is still present. It is kind of light. You can see the shading that is in the armor plating, especially here and here. So at least the shading is present on this action figure. So let's see what's going on with this massive jump pack here. And the jump pack does attach with these two pegs in the back. You have the vents for the jump pack, and then flipping around, you do have the jets right here. I kind of wish that they would have put this a glowing blue, but I understand if the jump pack looks like it has not been activated yet. And then you have these two ribbons on both sides of the jump pack, and then finally the double Aquila up top. So this is an excellent representation of jump pack. We are going to pick up the chainsword, and this is actually a more ornate chainsword than I have seen in the past. Obviously, it's got the same black casing, the silver teeth that are happening, as well as the silver highlights and the guard right here. But what makes this a little bit different from the rest of the chainswords is that it's got a winged skull right here, and the wings don't really have any shading in between the feathers, which is a common thing we kind of see in JoyToy action figures, but this one's a little bit lacking. And you do have an eagle head right here. So let us now move on to the Jumppack Veteran with the
Thunderhammer and Storm Shield. All right, we have the second Vanguard Veteran, and I'll just basically highlight the differences on this action figure. And clearly you get to see the Mark 8 helmet that's happening, and he's got the same laurels as well as the metallic lenses. The pauldron is actually different on this action figure. It's lacking the bones that are sticking out in this area, so there is a slight variation. And then on this side, we have a very, very large winged skull right here. And this was completely lacking on the other Space Marine that we took a look at. In back of the harness, you also see some wings, which is a common theme, a skull here. And then on the left leg, there is a golden ring that spans the Space Marine's thigh to give it a little bit more flavor to break up the monotony of the blue. There is a golden icon with a red center here, as well as a banner that is heavily shaded down here. And the printing right here is actually not embedded into the plastic. It is just screened on. So we're going to put this guy down and then take a look at the jump pack to see if there's anything different. You do see some differences here because this one has 2 winged skulls. There is a metal placard on the jump pack jets instead of a ribbon on this guy. Take a look at the very diminutive Thunderhammer. The Thunderhammer itself is your characteristic dark gunmetal that has been highlighted. You get to see also these cool plastic indentations in here, which actually does mimic the Thunderhammers that you see on the miniatures, which is awesome. So the color spread is really cool on this one. And finally, let's take a look at the Storm Shield. The Storm Shield is really nice in that it, again, mimics the laurels that are on the Space Marines. The Ultra on this banner is actually engraved into the plastic itself. And then as we flip over here, you get to see the back of the Storm Shield, which is obviously black. So let's move on to the Sergeant. All right, we have the more decorated Sergeant over here. And I'm actually, to be honest, not a fan of this helmet. Almost looks like a piggy snout. So I definitely will be swapping this out for the bareheaded version. So there is plenty of shading that's happening on the top of the helmet, just like with the other ones. Now with this particular Crux Terminatus, it is also completely different from his brethren. So you have more of a cross and a skull that's in front of it. We flip around the other side and there is sort of like a rosary type of thing here with an amulet down here as well. And then you get the characteristic harness right here, as well as there are laurels that are in the back of the harness. And you have like these gladiator kind of trappings that are at the bottom of it, as well as some nice golden ends here. Then looking at the right leg of this action figure, there is a white cord that is wrapped around it. You can actually move this cord up a little bit as it slips down. And I'll have to say that there is plenty of shading that's going on with this white cord too. And then moving on down, you have these 2 really cool icons as well. They have some shading that's happening. And also the plastic is divoted. So let's just take a look at the grav pistol very quickly. So this grav pistol is something that we've seen before. You got the black casing as well as the dark gunmetal colors that are happening here. Let's take a look at the relic sword. And the relic sword is a very, very cool thing that you see in a lot of Vanguard Space Marines. And once again, you have your color transition of a very dark gunmetal color all the way up to this very light silver. And then there is a singular power node that is blue and in the middle right here. Now picking up this jump pack, we see a gigantic golden Aquila in the middle of it. And then on the jetpack engines, you see these 2 golden skulls. All right, rounding off this review is going to be the Sergeant's face. And I'll have to say that the Sergeant is obviously rocking a mohawk. The mohawk does have a little bit of highlighting that's happening on the highest regions of it. And then as we look at the face, this actually is kind of like plain and unadorned. There's no shading that's happening anywhere on this face except within probably this recesses of the ear. And then you have a fairly nicely screened eyes as well as a very prominent nose that's right here. And then finally rounding out is a characteristic frown. All right, that is the in-depth review. Let me wrap this one up for you all. And so we have the squad of the 3 Vanguard veterans out in front of us, and these are very, very excellent example of OG Space Marines. I really love these guys in that, well, they have the old Mark 8 armor, they've got the beakies, the standard Mark 8 helmet, and the weapons themselves too are so badass, as I am a huge Thunderhammer and Storm Shield fan. And then moving on with the beaky that has the chainsword as well as the bolt pistol. I think the chainsword is really cool looking in that it's got that gold winged skull. And then finally rounding out, we have this lovely sergeant over here with the relic sword. I love how there are variations on their crux terminatus as well as variations on their backpack. So even though that these guys look kind of similar, if you actually look down to the details, they are actually quite different. So the question is, do I recommend these guys? Well, yeah, obviously I do recommend them. I am an OG firstborn Space Marine lover, so for those people who are interested in that, absolutely, this is going to be a must buy for you. So thank you all for watching all throughout this year. I appreciate all of your support and your viewership. Obviously, I wouldn't be here without you guys. So you all are awesome. And with that being said, if you are interested in these Vanguard veterans, please click on the link in the description below, where I will direct you to a very, very reputable dealer to pick up these action figures. And please make sure to use the code SNS to receive 12% off of your purchase. And with that being said, I will see you all in the next one.